I'd like to call Judiciary Committee meeting to order.
No.
Roll call.
Alderman Fisher.
Present.
Alderman Mayfield.
Present.
Alderman Evans. Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham. Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
We have one item on the agenda for judiciary tonight. Discussion and request ordinance amending 222 council meeting part A, regular agenda number 5. We also have some readings that sort of go through it, and we'll ask Alderman Markham to discuss this. Do you have discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What you have is our regular agenda. We're looking at changing that and moving citizens' comments and questions up to number 5. So it'll be called to order, Pledge of Allegiance, invocation, roll call, citizens' comments and questions, minutes, omnibus vote agenda, regular agenda, city bills, miscellaneous business, and adjournment. Now, looking over this, and I apologize again to the chairman, because I had to look back into part 2, Rules and Orders, Section G, Civility and Decorum, because in part 2 and part 3, what we're looking was to first put the limit to 2 minutes, because if we're moving it up, then we understand there'll be possibly more people that will be talking if it's moved up. So to limit the time from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. Then secondly, to put in there conduct rules of citizens' comments. Now, we already have that under part 3, but what we're looking to do is to change the B part exceeds the 2-minute limitation, and then C, make personal attacks against the presiding officers, council, or others. That was the main changes there.
Let me go back
And
up.
to call it,
Going on the trans- I get
or
under
to put
my-
a name to it,
on my regular
which is
email.
conduct rules for citizens' comments. So it would be a component of looking at these 2 sections along with changing the agenda or the council meeting by moving that up. But I feel to move that up would mean give and take on both parts, meaning that if we move it up for the citizens, then it should be limited to 2 minutes per person in order to keep the meeting productive and everyone be included. So does everyone understand that?
Question.
I understand some of it, but I have no problem with you moving it up, but I think we ought to leave it 3 minutes because people was complaining about the 3. I think I'll just leave it at the 3 and just move, if you want to move it up. That's just my personal. I don't think I'll be no more. Because you let one person go a little bit longer than the other one, then just 3 minutes like we always had it. That's just my personal feeling.
Anyone else?
I agree with you, Alderman Allen. I think we should leave it to 3 minutes. I think 2 minutes, that's not a lot of time.
That's not a lot of
If you
time.
got a complaint or you have an issue.
Right.
I have no problem with moving it up. I just think that we should let the citizens have 3 minutes.
Right.
But everything else is fine with me.
Thank you.
Alderman January?
Thank you, Chairman. I guess my question would be for our lawyer, who's present this evening. What is my understanding is the state just states reasonable amount of time?
It just says that citizens shall be given an opportunity to address the council and other bodies of the city, and that you have authority to set your rules. 2 minutes, I've seen 2 minutes, it's fine. That does seem to be probably the floor on the limitation you can put on it. I've seen it as long as like 5 minutes. So it's not really said, it's just determined by the community in how it wants to structure its meetings and the rules it wants to establish for public comment period.
Right.
So basically just reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anyone else?
I wasn't finished.
Oh, you're not done?
Again, I agree with the other alderman that I think 2 minutes would not be a reasonable amount of time. You know, we went from a 5-minute to a 3-minute, and there was a lot of complaints about that, and people were really upset. So I, would think to keep it 3 minutes. Also, I do agree with moving it up, though. I think we do need to have comments brought up towards the beginning of our council meeting instead of at the end. And then also, under the part 3, with the decorum, it's already in there, about personal attacks against others. I don't think we want to get too specific, because we need to also protect the citizens that are in the room as well. So, I'm for moving this up in the agenda.
That's what I said.
But the rest, I think we just need to leave as is for now and see how it goes. Thank you, Chairman.
Is there anyone else? Mayor?
Well, thank you, Alderman, for starting this dialogue and conversation. I know that I have been in contact with our attorneys in regards to this and actually some other things that we like to try to get amended in regards to our meeting and how this is moving forward. I know David and Adam has been working on that. That was one of the things I think that we were going to ask to do, is to move that up in the agenda.
Okay.
To get that moved forward. I would ask that, matter of fact, it was last month, they had actually came to me and says, can we put this on the agenda? And I had asked that, it be held off before the first Monday in the month to actually, so we have an opportunity to discuss it. So I would ask that not only this, but there are other things be brought also to the table, and that be presented at our next council meeting, and then try to move forward from that point to get everything in place at one time. Those that, again, that we present, and things that, you may want to put on, take off after we present everything to you, if that could be suggested,
Well.
if that's appropriate. Now, in regards to this, my take is that, when we first had it, it was open. And it wasn't a 5-minute, it was just open.
Okay.
It was,
Yep.
And some people talk for 15, 20 minutes because we didn't set any limits.
Right.
And I guess my take on that is, if you've got a concern that you're coming to the council to address, 2 minutes should be sufficient for you to ask that question and get your comment out. 3 minutes, I'll just say it this way, a lot of people will take 3 minutes whether they're talking on issues or not, directly to issues. And when you put it up in council, there's two things that I think we should be looking at. It gives the people an opportunity to address anything that we're getting ready to vote on that night. So they can, express their concerns or issues that may come up regarding our votes that we're going to be taking that day. And if there's any issues that they want to comment on in regards to the city. But if you already know the agenda and you know what your issue is, 2 minutes should be enough to address that. Going on after that, and I don't know how to put it, but best way I can put it, and I'm not, it starts to go into decorum. Okay, maybe that's the best way to put it. It starts going into decorum, and they're not really addressing what this meeting is about, and it's about what's being voted on and the issues that are going on in the city of North Chicago. So,
Well, Mayor,
those are my comments to
very good.
say.
In the case, I think that maybe we should just hold this over until we can get it all together, bring it back, and you can all discuss the whole thing over again, up or down, whatever way you want to do it. Discuss whatever's in there that you think that should be changed or whatever at that time. Is that sufficient?
And I think at that point, council will have all the other issues that are out there,
Right.
too.
Go ahead.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would also ask, when we bring this back for discussion, which is great, and we need to discuss and probably look at the whole ordinance in the entirety and make sure it's updated, but, I would ask if you could also bring back some information as to, how many communities around us, surrounding us, have gone to 2 minutes? Or to any kind of, cutoff time for speaking. I'd greatly appreciate that, so that we can see what our counterparts are doing out there, and if there has been a shift and a change, then it's something to consider.
Alderman?
Yes, sir. I do feel that even whatever we decide, there needs to be, these rules need to be presented to whomever is going to have a citizen's comment, meaning they need to be visible either in this building or copies of them somewhere every time we have a meeting. The reason why is because when I went back over this, there's just numerous times when these have just been overlooked in terms of the become repetitive, and the only thing that we changed here was exceeding the time from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. When you look in the original ordinance, it says 3 minutes. Then to make the personal attacks, it said against others. It was just including the presiding officer, council, and or others. But it's to make rude and slanderous remarks, become threatening and boisterous, engage in electioneering for candidates, and then otherwise interference with orderly and dignified conduct of the meeting. So these are already in, except for the two that we're looking to amend, already in the ordinance. So people need to be, this needs to be rehearsed to people, so when they do get up here and make their various comments, they'll adhere to, and then once anyone who is chairing the meeting says you're out of order, we're not saying it personally, but you're out of order according to what we've written. See, that's the issue, telling a person they're out of order, but if they don't know the rules, they don't know if they're out of order. So if they get up here and start personally attacking the council, we say you're out of order because here in this section it says you're not supposed to do that, so please sit down. And that needs to be done. So that's why we, rehearsing these things. I don't have a problem with what I was stated. I didn't know that the mayor was
Yeah,
and
that's quite
the
all right.
council were discussing this, but it's something that needs to be done for future meetings. And so I have no problem with it if the chairman would agree to them putting it back for the next committee meeting, along with all of their information, so that we can really get down to it. I don't want this to just keep on going, but let's decide, what we're going to do. And whatever we do, there needs to be something stipulating that these rules be placed either on the wall, up there on the podium, copies given, so whomever gets up and begins their comments will stay within the confines of their comments and not go into other directions. So whatever, 2, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want to give, I have no problem with that. But we need to have order in what we're doing. And the only reason that we look to change the 2 from 3 to 2 was because we're moving it up. And so if it's at number 5 as citizens' comments, then we don't really want to get into 50 minutes of comments, and then we have the rest of the meeting that we have to deal
Well,
with. So that's why we look.
Very good, but I think that we should just have some brochures up there, so when the person signs up, they can take one and read it over,
sir.
and they know what the rules and regulations would be.
Yes, sir.
That's number one. Number two, I think there should be a certain length of time prior to a meeting for them to sign up.
And they have that.
That's a little bit tricky,
Right.
given
Think
how
so?
the Open Meetings Act works, yeah. So, because someone might not necessarily think going into a meeting they're going to want to speak, but something comes up, so
Right.
they need to be given the
Maybe we
opportunity.
can put it on the wall then.
Well,
No.
I would discourage that.
Yeah.
But I do think Alderman Markham brings up a good point, and it sounds like whichever way the council goes with rules of decorum, it would be a good idea to have them available where everyone can see them. Your meetings should be conducted, respect should be all around the room. So having the rules at the podium would not be a bad idea at all. So that's definitely something you should think about.
Okay.
Thank
We
you,
hold
Mr.
this over until our next regular meeting,
sir.
unless someone has some more issues they would like to talk about.
In a stand.
Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll bring that back next month, next regular meeting.
Next meeting.
I'd like to open up the Finance Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher.
Present.
Alderman Mayfield.
Present.
Alderman Evans. Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Runnels.
Here.
Alderman January.
One item agenda, discussion request for youth donation amount, $500, trip to Universal Soul Circus event. Alderman, who is to speak on that, you or someone? You requested it,
Well, I can speak up on it.
okay?
The Legacy Group is having a trip to Universal Soul Circus, and they're asking for a donation from the city council, and it's for our youth in North Chicago. So therefore, it is taking care of the North Chicago youth and not other cities. I know we do donate to other cities, but we do have to take care of home. So therefore, it's been requested that we take approximately 30 kids or more to the Universal Soul Circus in October 20th. And the Legacy needs the payment by Friday of September the 7th, so that they could know exactly how many personnel they'll have and with the cost in the buses. The cost is $30 for adults, and what they're trying to do is bring the kids for free with the donations. Any questions?
Yes, Eric.
Right.
This is from Alderman Allen. We got to start watching all these donations. It's getting out of hand. It is totally getting out of hand. You saying they all coming out of North Chicago. Did anybody ever talk about trying to raise money by going out cutting grass, raking leaves? I don't mind giving people a hand up. I'm tired of people giving people a hand out. So we got to start learning and say, okay, these are the citizen taxpayers' money that we keep spending here, just giving out. And they're going to start lining up at the door here, coming in and saying, hey, I want a donation. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And how I'm going to turn them down and say no when I didn't give out all the other. We got to stop this somewhere. I'm just speaking from Alderman Allen. So I would be voting no for right now for me if we don't need any more money for anything.
Let me get her. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm with Alderman Allen. You know, again, we just came out of budget talk. We're supposed to come back and start talking about budget.
Right.
And going through it with a fine tooth comb. We have yet to do that. We have yet to make a plan on how we're going to pay back the funds for the pensions for police and fire. So I'm leaning towards no. I'm all about our youth and taking care of them. But did the Legacy Group ever think about fundraising for this project? do some fundraising, bake sales, whatever it takes to do to bring in some extra cash instead of coming directly to the city.
Right.
We are in a budget crisis. We don't know from day to day our funds. We don't know the penny. So again, I just, budget-wise, we gotta be careful. We got some things we need to take care of, and we need to really look at these donations as they're coming in and take them seriously and look at the budget. And, at this point, because of where we're at budgetary-wise, I would have to say no to this donation. Thank you.
Alderman Evans?
Well, I really find that funny. I hear both of you. Just 2 weeks ago, Waukegan walked up in here and said they wanted $500 for the Afro Fest. No questions, no nothing. The same budget that was there yesterday is here today. So therefore, you gave away $500 to another city, and you guys want to sit here and talk about a budget, but our kids in our city, we need to take care of home first. If we can't take care of home, we don't need to be taking care of nobody else. Now,
correct?
for these people to say no to something that's in our environment, in our city, I find that to be a problem, because when that Afro Fest came up here and said, well, we need $500, that wasn't even supported by their own city. They was not supported by their own city, but everybody sat up here and said yes. That same budget was right there the same way. So I'm misunderstanding this whole thing, because I'm saying a simple $500 for our youth in our city. I mean, I just explain it to me. Maybe I can understand it.
Alderman?
Alderman Evans, I just had a question about the kids. Have we identified the kids?
No, well, we have not identified all the kids. What we're doing is, like I said, they need the money for the funding. We have not identified the kids. It's up to each individual to go out and get kids, to put the word out, to work on it. It's something that we've been working on. I don't know if I've been working, the county been working, state rep been working, so we have been working on getting kids. It's not just kids in my ward. I have kids and adults from all these wards that have contacted me about going to this event. It's a great event. We thought we could get sponsorship from the city, and Alderman Allen do got a good point. We cannot be giving sponsorship to everybody, but let's take care of home first, because I wouldn't want to go out there if we're that city that's supposed to be quoted saying we don't have no money, but everybody could walk through that door and come to North Chicago and say, okay, well, we need some money and we could push it out. But when it's time for our kids, for our constituents to get some money, we sitting back and saying no. It's the same way with the community days. We sit here and we asking questions about an event, about our event, about the money that's being donated to us, about us, but at the same time, we'll go out and support other communities and act like we don't supposed to have anything going on in our community. So we got to really look at the whole picture, because apparently some of us is not realizing we stay in this city. Everything that's needed right here in this city, we supposed to be supporting it. We shouldn't be hesitating on things with our community, people in our community that needs something done. So I don't know how you could just vote yes for somebody in Waukegan, somebody in Park City or around us, and then we don't say yes to our own community.
Alderman Allen?
Thank you.
The only thing I want to say is that last year, a coach in North Chicago Flames told me they needed money for their football jerseys, helmets. I didn't come up here to ask city council for any money. You know I did? I started walking the beat out there and asking the businesses. But I started with my money first. I didn't ask nobody to do something. I started with me. I went in my pocket and wrote a check out. We raised $2,200, donated over to Falls Park. I didn't come to city council. I did my work. So that's what they're saying. They appreciate you taking the initiative to go out there and do this. So that's what we should be focusing on. You know, that's doing the part. Don't look, like I tell people all the time, don't look for a handout. I'll give you a hand up. Thank you.
Alderman?
Question to Alderman. The people who are soliciting the funds, why didn't they come and speak to us?
I told them I would speak on behalf of them. So therefore, while I was sitting up here, I said I would speak on behalf of them.
Well, I would have liked to have heard from them. And the
What
reason
would
why
you
is
like to hear?
because, even with Waukegan, the representative came and said something about it. I think it would have been proper protocol.
Well,
I don't have any problem with the donation because we give money here, there, and everywhere. So might as well give some to do something for children. However, now under the city bills, you have under the mayor's office where he makes several donations. Why didn't they go to the mayor?
it went to him too. It did go to the mayor.
Well, what I'm saying is some donations that's made under the mayor's office, they never come to us and ask. It's evidently they can go ahead and do that, so I don't see any problem with why it could have come from the mayor's office.
What do you mean?
There are organizations that come on through the mayor's office on the city bills that receive donations.
Well, we haven't voted on it yet. I mean,
Well, these haven't been voted on, it's been donated here.
what's been voted on?
I said none of these, that's donations that have been made from the mayor's office have been voted on. So why didn't they just go to the mayor and request? this?
Because they also came to the city council.
Okay,
That's it. They came to the city council to see if the city council would support it. Like I said before, they know that the city council gave money to the Afrofest and give money outside of the city. So therefore, as I speak within the city, it shouldn't be a problem. I didn't think it would be a problem coming to take care of your own city versus taking care of others. So maybe the question should be whether we should be giving money to outside of the city. If we can't take care of our own city, because like I said, that fest down there that we supported, that city did not even support that fest. We sit here and we supported them, and he should have brought that fest over here in this city. If we're gonna support somebody, that tax money should be here within our city. It shouldn't be in another city. So these kids are asking to go on a trip. And ain't nobody excluded. Everybody's included. And everybody just don't have the funds. So they're just asking for a donation.
and when is it due?
Friday. So that's why it was brought to that's why it was brought to the city council, because of the holiday and the time period that it is. Oh, by the way, I did hear Alderman Allen said about donations that he had given. I gave my own donations, but I don't have to express it out because I paid for a lot of them kids, but that was my choice. So it's just something that we want to make sure we got enough kids. We're not trying to leave none behind. And that's nice of you, Alderman Allen. But we do, we just, that's what we have.
Alderman January.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, we're comparing apples and oranges here. When you talk about Afrofest, first of all, that's not a Waukegan event. That is has been for years, a countywide effort. He has gone out and brought in funds from other places, not just from our city. And I have to say, the pictures that I saw from the fest this past year, there was a lot of North Chicagoans there, which I was glad to see, that they're taking part and enjoying the music and enjoying the different booths that are out there to provide information. So it's just a big difference in what was being brought here this evening. And again, I have to agree with also Alderman Markham that a representative from the group should have come tonight to talk to us and say, hey, this is our needs. You know, again, I'm asking, did they do any other fundraising like Afrofest did? They went and raised other money. It wasn't just money from us. So again, apples and oranges. And also just to hear from them, how they're doing, where they're at, what would they, you know, what are they looking for out of this event? You know, I'm grateful that you're bringing it forward and saying, you know, that they're looking for help. But again, we need to look at our I'm going back to the budget, and I will always go back to the budget. Afrofest is something that's been annual. It's been every year. The city and the mayor gives contribution. The city has given a contribution. We've always done that, and I think that's probably gonna end up continuing. But we have to see what our budget's gonna look like next year too, because that might have to end. As a lot of things are gonna have to end. So, and then my last piece is asking the mayor directly out. Did the Legacy Group come to you and ask you for a donation from out of your office, and are you going to provide a donation?
Well, let me just say, first of all, in regards to this, Alderman Evans sits on the board that puts that's putting this event on. So that's why I think he's coming in and not the entire group. So since he is a board member, or at least been working with that group, the Legacy Group, that's why he's here. He did come to me and ask about it. He said, Mayor, I'm going to be coming to the council for a donation. And I supported that. I mean, he didn't come directly from me for a donation, and if he did, I would probably give to it also. But he did come to me, he says, Mayor, I'm going to be coming to the council for a donation. The donation that they're looking for was $500. And my question to him was, what is it for the kids in North Chicago? And one of the first things he says that, you know, it's for all North Chicago kids. He said that I'd hope that all the aldermen go out and support it and ask for kids from every ward to be a part of it. And, you know, I mean, that's the part that I support. If he would have came to me directly and said, we need a donation from you, Mayor, it would have been right there on the list right now saying donation from the Legacy Group as part of the city.
You were not asked directly.
I was not asked directly, but when he came to me and spoke to me about it, I did support the operation, the idea of taking our children from the city of North Chicago to see what they call the Universal Soul Circus, where they have black entertainers, which is, to me, a minority community going to see a minority circus, which is something that I think that our city should be supportive of.
Anyone else? Alderman?
You know, I'd just like to say to Alderman Evans, this is me personally, I think it's something good. In our summer program for the kids, there are sponsors that we have, and a lot of kids, what we find is that they have never been out of the city of North Chicago. And by exposing them to things like the Soul Circus, because it's really great, and they will be delighted, it broadens their horizons. And I know, unfortunately, our school system's not able to do as many field trips as maybe we had coming up. So I think that, you know, everybody just needs to kind of keep that in mind. Of course, vote your conscience, but I think it's an excellent thing that the Legacy Group is doing. Alderman Evans.
I just want to say one last thing. If we all think it's a good thing, before Alderman Evans leave tonight, what's all Aldermen come out of our pocket today, write a check out. Let's see how it's important to us. I'm just speaking from Alderman Allen. I'm willing to give out of my pocket, not out of the budget, out of my pocket. Now, we get $500 right here, or you get $700 right here, right quick, $100. And we can move on. We sitting there discussing this here. Let's lead off.
On,
Will you give me a chance to go get my checkbook?
Yeah, yep,
Okay,
yep. I even write it for you and you can pay me.
I'll do it.
Okay.
anyone else? With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.
At this time, I'd like to open up the Public Works Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher.
Present.
Alderman Mayfield.
Present?
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here,
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Runnels.
Here.
Alderman January.
We have 3 items on the agenda. The first item is the discussion of various honorary roadway sign applications, Ron McAllister Way, A, and Michael Snip McBride Affair, B. I'm gonna have Ed speak about item 1.
Oh, and I have something to add, before you even go to Ed.
Okay, go.
On Ron McAllister, on this application, we need to do a little bit more work. The committee for Ron McAllister would like to submit another application with more information on it, and a little bit more about Ron. And the location that's on this application is not exactly where the road is going to be. So we are going to be asking for Ron McAllister Way. However, we will be submitting another form. So just to let you know.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Alderman. I am sorry, but I'm totally unfamiliar with any and every one of these honorary road applications because they have not yet hit my desk.
At your desk. Okay. I tell you what, go to item 2. We'll hold this to the next meeting. Item 2, the discussion request to extend the 2017 contract awarded to Schroeder and Schroeder for CDBG funded sidewalk trip hazards repairs at various locations throughout the city.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is a matter, there's 2 handouts on your desks. Just related to this, one is the status of the CDBG grant funding that the city receives and the various items that the funding is targeted for. You see, the last item on there is $50,000 grants received in 2018 for sidewalk trip hazard replacements. So the second sheet on that same attachment is some total of the remaining sidewalks that have been reported as trip hazards that are yet to be repaired. As a result of awarding $85,000 worth of work last year to Schrader and Schrader, we made a huge dent in that sidewalk program. And so this is all that we have remaining that have been reported. I'm not saying there's not more out there, but we go on a as-need reported basis. We don't go out looking for sidewalks for a lot of reasons, but this is the remaining sidewalks that are on this list. So last year, Schroeder had asked if we had more sidewalks, and I said we have no more to do in 2017. This spring, I called them and I said, hey, if you would consider holding your 2017 pricing for calendar year 2018, I could take an item to council and see if they may be willing to extend the contract, the 2017 contract for you, as long as the pricing is exactly the same.
Are there any questions?
I defer to council on
So some
the
questions.
appropriateness of that extension offer.
So some questions. When did the original contract expire?
It was not a term contract per se. It did not have an expiration. It was a quantity-based, dollar-based contract.
Okay, but they finished all the work under that original contract when?
Correct.
When?
spring, the final payout was in January of this year, I think.
Okay, and did you competitively bid this?
It was. And there were two bidders. There was Alliance Contractors and Schroeder and Schroeder in 2017, and it was
No,
duly.
the extension. Since this, in effect, I know you're calling it an extension of existing contract, but this is new work that exceeds the $20,000 threshold we place on ourselves, which does require competitive bidding, but the city council and mayor, by a vote of 2/3 of all of you, can waive competitive bidding. The one point I will make is because you had had the contractor on site, there are certain efficiencies that you gain from using the same contractor. But again, it's within your discretion to waive competitive bidding. But you did not competitively
We
bid this
did
one.
not, we did not bid this
So
in
you will have to
2018.
approve this by a 2/3 vote, at a minimum. So on this, you should probably add in the waiver of competitive bidding and awarding an extension to the although it's really not an extension, it's a new contract.
It is. Because there wasn't an expiration date on it, per se.
Hey, Alderman Markham.
So in the Fifth Ward, there's no sidewalks that have to be repaired?
On the back sheet, back of that sheet, there's a couple of extra items, and there is one in the Fifth Ward on there.
One sidewalk?
Back. Remember, these are trip hazards that have been reported. On the back of the legal sheet.
This one? Okay, I got it. So do we have to?
So one of the things that Alderman Markham always asks for is some sidewalks to help kids get to school over here, particularly at, what is it called now? Didn't they change the name down here in Argonne? Argonne and,
Not Neil.
no,
Neil.
Glen Drive.
West.
Duckdale?
Yes.
Casimir?
Katzenmeyer, yes. So there's no place for the kids on the south side of Argonne to cross on the east side at all.
At
So
all.
that definitely should be a priority also. But that doesn't fall under our trip hazard replacement program. So that is something that I think council should act on.
So if we agree to this, then that's already set. For example, if I were tomorrow go out and find some areas that need to be repaired, they wouldn't be following this guide.
So these are all that's on the list, so we can certainly amend this list before we give it to the contractor.
Okay.
Absolutely. Prioritize it.
Alderman January.
There's quite a few areas that need to be fixed. Will this grant money, the 50,000, cover all of this that needs to be done? Or will we have to look into our budget to see?
So
To kind of help
I would
cover.
only award up to the amount of the quantities, up to the amount of the grant funding available. Because I have nothing in my budget for sidewalk work at all.
I didn't think so.
No.
So there's a potential that some of these may not get done then because of
There, it could be.
the number. I mean,
Contractor
it's
last,
year.
the contractor last year actually did many more sidewalks than his per square foot price allowed him to do, and he absorbed that overrun, if you will. So I don't know if he's willing to do that again, but I certainly, before we would get a list to him, we would calculate the square footage that we're able to afford for that $50,000.
So we will, you promise us we will not go over?
Oh,
and go
absolutely.
into the budget.
That's exactly what the motion says.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we're gonna go to item 3.
So item 3 is a happy day here because it's the award of over 4 miles of paving work for 2018 for motor fuel tax pavement repaving work. So in the packet of exhibits, this is a combined 2017-2018 program on the map. Has all the streets. Second sheet is a letter of recommendation from the city engineer. And the third page is a bid tab summary and comparison. So there's about $150,000 worth of differences between the low bidder and the second low bidder overall for the scope of the pay items contained within the contract. So again, this would be, I would like to take this directly to council this evening, and this would be a recommendation for a value not to exceed the bid amount.
Are there any questions? Alderman Markham?
I don't know how long I've been coming to you about Sherman. When is that gonna be placed on there?
So Alderman is.
24th, from ML King to 24th.
Right. So as you know, Sherman requires a water main replacement under it before we pave the street because that's bad water main. We have breaks, pretty much multiple breaks each year. And so as I shared with you a few meetings ago, we've taken a pause on a water main replacement program for this year because of new regulations being put forth by the EPA with respect to lead service lines. And as with many communities, they're choosing a mechanism to get in front of the EPA regulations. For the EPA regs mandate certain actions, they're choosing to get as much of their lead service lines replaced prior to the implementation of the new regulations. So as such, we have in wards 1, 2, and 3, which are the older parts of the city, almost 100% are known lead service lines, as well as 3 blocks of 4-inch water main that currently do not meet NFPA fire flow requirements. So we're advancing those parts of the project. We've completed the engineering for Sherman and Dickey, which was going to be for this year. It's packaged. It will sit on the shelf while we work through the other wards to complete the urgent work before the EPA regs come in, and then we'll get on to the Ward 5 water main replacement schedule that we had discussed last year.
So, once all of this is finished, the next project you're stating will be, one of those will be Sherman and Dickey.
So the first non-Ward 1, 2, or 3 water main replacement projects will be the projects that we plan to do this year, which would be Sherman and Dickey.
And so none of these streets need water mains?
Correct. This is purely a
Purely
pave and
just
overlay,
pavement
a mill and pave project. This is a straight MFT project. There's no subsurface work in there whatsoever, with the exception, there may be some manhole sections that will be replaced. If we find a bad manhole, there's some structures that may be replaced either in part or in their entirety, because again, you don't want to put new pavement down if you know you've got bad stuff under it. Everything else would be a subsurface lining project for the sanitary sewers or storm sewers that may need some work.
So that's what was done from 24th on Sherman all the way south, when that was resurfaced. There wasn't any water main.
There was.
Oh, there was
There
water
was
main.
water
run
main, yes.
up
That was
to
part of the water
24th.
main replacement
Right,
projects.
up to 24th Street.
Yes, and both ends of 24th Place
Right.
as well. Yes,
Okay.
it absolutely was.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your understanding for the reprioritization of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ed,
Sir.
you know, in the past, I've talked to you about this, my little streets. I have some concerned citizens over there in that area, Brumpton and Bittersweet. Now, as you know, every winter, winter snow, those streets get all torn up by trucks, a lot of truck traffic. Would you please, I know you won't pave them, but do something with them, about them, will you? Grade them or whatever. More
Sure.
gravel,
Sure will.
appreciate it.
We kind of missed the boat a few years back with Speedway. When that came to the council, we didn't get some street improvements that probably should have been included in that project. But that being said, we got to move forward with that. And so we will be making spot repairs on those streets this year. And also on that exhibit, you see, with respect to Atkinson Road, it being a short section, we hope to be able to extend that to the new pavement that was associated with that project that's in Green Oaks.
That section will be done this year, right?
Yes.
Good. So I got a lot of complaints about that.
Now, Alderman Allen has some bad streets over there that he wants to get done, so
Right.
we need to do some engineering on those in order to get those done, but those are going to be priorities for next year as well.
Right.
Maybe even this year if we can.
15th.
Yes.
You know exactly.
Hillcrest and Meadow, and then the streets, north-south streets, east-west streets at the last two at the end.
Right.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to close the Public Works Committee meeting.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Mayfield. Roll call?
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January.
Meeting adjourned.
7.